we have to model the discipline. We cannot enforce any type of rule that we aren't really willing to obey ourselves. So like if you have a rule that there's no tech at dinner time, but yet you're on your phone, well, that's not going to vouch too well for you. And that's not going to be a really great example for your kids. Model the discipline that you want to see. So be the change that you want to see. So if you want your kids only on their phones from, let's just say, 4 to 5 or from 5 to 6 or whatever else. But then after that, it's a screen, we are not on phones after that. Well, guess what? We need to be doing that as well. And there's none of this game that we're playing like, well, I'm the father, you're the kid. I need my phone, you don't. We need to model that behavior because then we just look like absolute hypocrites. All right, Apple's new iPhone is dropping here soon. TikTok keeps making headlines, and oh my gosh, ChatGPT is now doing our kids' homework right and left. This is what's happening in our kids' school, and things are just happening faster than they ever have before, meaning like technology is moving at literally light speed now. And what are parents supposed to do with technology, and how are we supposed to keep up, and how are we supposed to actually keep our kids accountable, making sure that they are not leveraging too much tech or actually even using tech in the wrong way as we begin school. And this is like the battle of parents. And I'll tell you what, if you're listening to today's podcast and you're listening to today's topics, which is raising kids in the digital age and keeping kids safe and all those different things and making sure our kids aren't using Gronk or ChatGPT to do all of their homework, you're in the right place, because parents up until right now, up until to this day and age, we are not prepared for this. We have no idea what we're up against. This is the first generation of parents that have ever have to deal with AI or ever has to deal with this type of tech in our kids' hands as we start school. And believe it or not, this is also the first generation of kids who have this much tech in their hands as they go to school. So what is a parent supposed to do? What's a kid supposed to do? That's what today's podcast is all about. And as dads, we can't keep our heads buried in the sand. Tech is shaping our kids' childhoods. And the question is, are we guiding them and are we raising them in the right direction with the right boundaries and the right structure? That is today's podcast. Gentlemen, welcome to the second week of September. This month, we are talking all about what it means to go back to school and what it means to tighten down the ship, to have more structure, and all those different things that are happening in the month of September. And welcome to the Dad Edge Podcast, gentlemen. My name is Larry Hagner. I'm the host and founder of the Dad Edge Podcast. I am the father of 4 knucklehead boys. I am the husband of one amazing woman who definitely I have outkicked my coverage there. I am the founder of the Dad Edge Alliance, which that is our mastermind for career men who refuse to settle for a mediocre marriage and a mediocre connection with their kids. I am also the founder of the Dad Edge Business Boardroom Brotherhood, which that's for our business owners, 100% business owners, not side hustlers or anything like that. These men are building businesses, leading teams, and all that different things. We have that program specifically for you because, hey, business owners, we're wired just a bit different. We're a bit cray-cray. We got a few screws loose. So we tend to be high drivers, and the things that get us results in our business are usually not the same things that get us results in our marriages and with our kids. So that's why we developed the Dad Edge Business Brotherhood, so men can literally just kick ass and take names in all those arenas, in business and in marriage and with their kids and with themselves. So that's why I developed those. But we're going to be talking about 3 things today, guys, that are just going to be helping you guys raise more tech-savvy kids and also just really understand what we're up against. And the first one is set guardrails and not walls. So use parent controls and use apps like Bark. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about Bark a ton on the podcast, but if we give our kids free reign with their phones and their apps, God only knows what's going to happen. So I know one of the things that we ran into as a family is that our kids would app hop. It would app hop. So we thought we were actually doing, highly structured things, which is we would shut their screen time down on certain apps. But what we didn't know is our kids would just jump to a different app. So YouTube might shut off after 30 minutes of screen time, but that didn't stop my kids from going to Netflix on their app or going to Prime or going to TikTok or something like that, to where all these different apps. So you could actually, if you have 5 different apps where you could stream media and each app has 60 minutes of time, well, that's 5 hours of screen time that your kids could potentially have. We ran into that rookie mistake early on in our parenting, and we were like, oh, why how could you be spending so much time on your phone? You have an hour of screen time. Oh no, it actually has to do with the apps. So a platform like Bark can help you with each app and what you want to do with those apps and how much time you want to give your kids around those apps. So that's one great thing about Bark. But this is something to watch out for because our kids are smart and the kids talk to each other. And here's the other thing that I found out too, and I don't have any updated information for you guys, but I do know this: without a app like Bark, there's always workarounds apparently in kids' phones. And these kids aren't dumb. Like, they share information. So if you have dialed in a code or something like that on your kids' phones that basically restrict their watch time or with what they're doing with certain apps or that kind of thing, there's like these workarounds. They can go in the background of their phone and shut those things off if they want to. My son actually showed me how they were doing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So if you're just relying on maybe the iPhone, or you're relying on, just the Android, you might want to take a really good look into that, because there are these back end workarounds that our kids are doing. And we might be like, oh, my kid doesn't know how to do that. Well, guess what? They don't have to know how to do that, but their friends probably know how to do that, which means they're going to know how to do that. So make sure that you're setting up structure. Make sure you're setting up guardrails. We don't want to completely restrict them, right? We don't want to put them in like a tech prison or anything like that. But we do need these things to be a little bit tighter. And sometimes we don't know the wiser as parents. Sometimes we think like, well, I have a screen time on their phone, so they can't possibly be using it for more than an hour. The only thing they can do after an hour is text and phone calls and email, and that's it. But that could not be the case. That might not be the case. There might be workarounds that your kids are diving into. If you don't have an app like Bark that allows you to watch their screen time, that allows you to shut off certain apps or screen times for certain apps or anything like that, you may or may not have to dive into their phone to see how much screen time they are actually doing on a weekly basis. I mean, these phones will give you a screen time report of how much time that your kids are spending in the app and where they're actually spending it. Like, so are they spending a ton of time on Netflix or on YouTube or this app or that app or whatever? So you really, really need to watch that big time, is making sure that if your kids have screen times, make sure that the apps are dialed in as well and there's not a back-end workaround. But like I said, Bark is really great about that. It's a great app, and I'll talk about that here at the end of the show, but it's a great app to control those things. Another thing too is a family tech contract. Now, we haven't implemented this, but I know a lot of families who have, where they actually make kids sign a contract with like bedtime routines, screen time rules, screen-free zones, accountability check-ins, all these different things. So there are some parents out there that are really dialing this in, that are making like contracts for their kids. Their kid actually has to sign it, and they have to agree to it. And if not, there are consequences. But you know what? I mean, if that's what you need to do in your house, then that's what you need to do. We haven't had to pull that lever yet, but that's not to say that we never will. I have no idea. But you might want to think about that. Again, most of what I've seen are, rules around bedtime, rules around what apps they can have, what apps they can't have. The screen-free zones is another one. And then the amount, the cadence around the accountability. So some parents will even put in their contract like, hey, we meet every single Sunday for 5 minutes and we review where you're spending your screen time, and I have feedback and I have the final say in that. So things like that, you can actually make a family tech contract. Some parents are like, wait, that's way too much control. And some parents are like, man, that's a great idea. But take that and run with it if you really want to. It's probably a great way to keep your kids accountable. And this one, last but not least, but this one is really, really big. We have to model the discipline. So like, we cannot enforce any type of rule that we aren't really willing to obey ourselves. So like, if you have a rule that there's no tech at dinner time, but yet you're on your phone, well, that's not going to vouch too well for you. And that's not going to be a really great example for your kids. So model the discipline that you want to see. So be the change that you want to see. So if you want your kids only on their phones from, let's just say 4 to 5 or from 5 to 6 or whatever else, but then after that, it's a screen, we are not on phones after that. Well, guess what? We need to be doing that as well. And there's none of this game that we're playing like, well, I'm the father, you're the kid, I need my phone, you don't. We need to model that behavior, because then we just look like absolute hypocrites. So, again, set guardrails, not the walls. Make sure that you guys are using an app that allows you 100% control over your kid's phone. So like, don't leave it subject to these workarounds. Don't leave it subject to like your friend, the kid's friends are having a final say in how much screen time they actually get by somehow, some way, unrestricting those restrictions you put on their phone. So make sure that you're using an app like Bark that allows you to have complete and 100% control over their phone. And what I'll tell you is, for all my parents out there that are just like, well, it's their phone, it's their business. Well, no, it really isn't. If your kid is under 18, that phone is your business, in my opinion. They are still children. They still need to ride a helmet when they're riding a bike, those types of things. Like, our job is to keep them protected, and we can't keep them protected without actually having 100% control over their tech, like it or not. That's just the way it is. We wouldn't let our kids, probably ride an electric bike, like one of those motorcycles, or we probably wouldn't even let them ride a skateboard, a scooter, or a bicycle without a helmet, where you're not going to allow your kids too much tech without some type of protection like Bark. Also, like I said, if you want to pull the lever of the family contract, there's a lot of people in our community that are doing that. They make their kids like sign these contracts around bedtimes and screen-free zones and accountability and all that good stuff. And then the final one is model the discipline that you want to see. I know that this is hard, guys. I know that this is so hard. It's hard for me too. I mean, my entire organization, my entire business is online. So like everything that I do is digital or tech related. So it's not like I have necessarily a brick and mortar. I have my studio, my office, but pretty much 99% of how I run everything is through tech or through digital. So like I really have to mind these P's and Q's myself. And it's sometimes the temptation is really, really hard, because I run into that situation where I'm like, well, I'm providing, I'm working, I need to be doing this. I need to be getting back to this member, or I need to be helping this one-on-one client with this, or this person just reached out to me with a 911. But I'll tell you, I mean, like I tell my clients, even my one-on-one clients, you're not going to hear from me probably after 5 p.m. I'll get back to you the next morning, but you probably won't. And then on the weekends, you will not hear from me Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I let them know up front. I'm like, listen, like that is my family time. That is my recharge time. I cannot be working or getting back to clients unless it's an absolute like life or death emergency. So I have to be able to be willing to do what I tell my kids that I have to do, to tell my kids what they have to do by showing them how to do it. So like I said, guys, I can't recommend Bark highly enough. And it's an app that we have trusted for the past 6 years. And you've heard me talk about this a lot, but if your kids already have phone, you have options. You have options if your kids already have phones or iPads or anything. You also have options if your kids have no tech. And let me explain real quick. So if your kids already have phones and you're like, we have none of that stuff on their phones, I can't control their phone, I have no idea what they're doing, I have no idea what their friends are saying, which, by the way, if you have Bark, one of the coolest things about Bark is you get to know your kids' friends really, really well. In my humble opinion, that is worth the price of admission for the app, is to really get to know your kids' friends, because you see the true side of them over text message or over Messenger or over everything else, because they'll be nice to your face, yes or no, sir, Mr. Hagner, Mrs. Hagner, and then you see them on text messages. You're like, oh, wow, look at that. Like, look at little Johnny, he's got a dirty little mind, or Johnny's, trying to get my kid to do this, or this, or peer pressuring this, or that, or he's around other friends who are doing this, and this. It's really quite fascinating, to be honest, to see what their friends are talking about. But you'll get all those alerts if you're using an app like Bark. So all you have to do is download the app to your desktop and then to your kids' phones. It's super easy. If you guys go to thedadedge.com/Bark, there's a way to download the app. You also get 10% off of their monthly service. I highly recommend getting it. I mean, I think their monthly service right now is $14 a month. It's super cheap. I would pay $30 a month for what I get with Bark, but that's if your kids already have tech. Now, if your kids don't have tech and they're old enough for a phone, and in my personal opinion, I just got my 12-year-old the Bark phone. The Bark phone is an Android, and it's a great phone, and it comes preloaded with all the Bark technology. And you can put all the apps on it that you possibly want, but you have to approve each app at a time as your kid requests them. So like if your kid, like my kid just asked for TikTok, and I said no. I was like, you don't need TikTok. You really don't. He asked for YouTube. I'm like, you really don't need YouTube yet either. So you can do a few of these other things, but YouTube and TikTok, yeah, you don't really need to be wasting your life on that. So I told him no. So like you can deny these apps, which is really, really cool. So that's the Bark phone. You'll get all the updates, you'll get all the alerts and all that good stuff. And then finally, for anybody out there who, like, I have a 9-year-old, he's not ready for a phone, in my opinion. I know some of you guys out there have already got your like kindergartner phones, but in my opinion, a kid shouldn't even have a phone in his hand, at least until the minimum age of 12, and hopefully that they're mature enough for that. But my 9-year-old has the Bark watch. That thing is great. It's a smart watch. It doesn't come with any of the apps, no internet access whatsoever. They can text, they can call, they can create a video, they can even audio message you if they want, so they can speak into the phone and send you a message. I'm sorry, speak into the watch and send you a message. But these things are great, and they're actually very affordable. A lot of people probably think that the watches and the phones are really expensive. They're super cheap, especially if you're using our code GoodDad upon checkout, all one word, to go see all the options, like I said, guys, and to have more control over your kids' technology and their digital footprint and all the other things that they want access to, and to also control all the time that they're spending on YouTube and TikTok and all these other apps. Go to thedadedge.com/bark for this, for all the options that Bark has. Like I said, it's great for this. Also in the show notes, I'll have that in there for you for Bark. But I'll also have these 3 things in there too of how to just keep your kids a little bit more accountable. How to set up guardrails and not walls, the family tech contract, and then how to model discipline. If you guys go to thedadedge.com/1377 for this show, again, thedadedge.com/1377, I'll have a link in there for Bark, as well as just a rundown of everything we talked about today. Gentlemen, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a huge fan of the show, and thank you for all the 5-star reviews on Spotify and over on iTunes as well. Continue to go out and live legendary. Take care.